Imagine you have one job: find the cure for death. Your emperor demands a potion of eternal life, and you are the man who has to make it. So every night, you lock yourself inside a dark workshop. You grind strange minerals. You heat them. You mix them. You test them on yourself. Then one night, you combine 3 ordinary ingredients, and your entire world catches fire. The mixture explodes. Your hands are burned. Your eyebrows are gone. The building is burning down around you. You were hunting for immortality. Instead, you just discovered the fastest way humans would ever find to kill each other. Because here is what almost nobody knows. Guns were not invented by soldiers, not by generals, not by weapon makers. The deadliest invention in human history began as a failed medicine. The Chinese alchemists even named it that. Huo Yao, fire medicine. And the road from that burning workshop to the modern gun took 1,000 years. It crossed the entire planet. And it quietly built the world you are living in right now. So stay till the end, because the final part of this story is not really about guns. It is about you. Let's go back. More than 1,100 years ago, China, the Tang dynasty. The emperors of this era were obsessed with one thing: living forever, and they hired teams of alchemists to make it happen. These men were the scientists of their time, and they tested everything: mercury, jade, gold dust, arsenic. Some emperors actually died from drinking their own immortality potions. That is not a joke. The medicine meant to defeat death kept causing it. But the alchemists never stopped, and in their endless mixing, they kept returning to one strange substance: a white crystal that formed on cave walls and old damp soil. Saltpeter. There was something unnatural about it. It made fire burn hungrier, angrier. Combine it with sulfur and charcoal, and the flame stopped behaving like a flame. It hissed, it flashed, it fought back. Around the year 850, a Taoist text finally put the danger in writing. It described alchemists who mixed these ingredients together while chasing eternal life. The result: burned hands, burned faces, a whole house reduced to ash. The text warned everyone to stop making it. Nothing but shame and danger, it said. Now think about what that means. The very first written record of gunpowder in human history is a safety warning, a document begging people not to make it. But here is what's fascinating. The warning failed completely. Because when word spreads about a powder that explodes, 2 kinds of people pay attention: healers and killers. At that moment in history, China needed killers. The Song dynasty was surrounded. Nomadic armies pressed down from the north. Entire provinces were being lost. The empire was rich, brilliant, and terrified. So the failed medicine was handed to the military, and the generals got creative. First, they tied small packages of it to arrows, fire arrows that could set an enemy camp burning from a distance. Then came smoke bombs, exploding grenades, even early flamethrowers mounted on city walls. By the year 1044, the transformation was official. A giant military encyclopedia called the Wujing Zongyao recorded instructions for making gunpowder weapons, written by scholars, approved by the government. The immortality potion was now property of the state. But you have to understand something about this early powder. It did not explode like a modern bullet. It burned. It sprayed. It roared like an angry firework, which meant it was scary, but not yet deadly. And then one unknown soldier had an idea that would echo for 1,000 years. Imagine you are that soldier. It is somewhere around the year 950. You are standing on a city wall. Below you, an enemy army is raising ladders. In your hands, you hold a spear, but it is no ordinary spear. Tied to the tip is a bamboo tube, packed tight with fire medicine. The first ladder hits the wall. A man starts climbing towards you. You touch a burning cord to the tube, and your spear breathes fire. A jet of flame, several meters long, roars into his face. This weapon was called the fire lance, and it is the direct ancestor of every gun on Earth. We know how old it is because of a painting. A silk banner found in the caves of Dan Huang, dated to around the year 950, shows a demon gripping one, flames bursting from the barrel. That is over 1,000 years ago. And then came the upgrade that changed everything. Soldiers began stuffing objects into the tube before firing. Bits of scrap metal, broken pottery, small pellets. Suddenly the fire lance did not just burn people. It shot things at them. Follow the logic of the next 2 centuries. bamboo tubes kept bursting, so they became metal tubes. The flame mattered less than the projectile, so the spear part disappeared. And what remained was a metal barrel that used gunpowder to launch a projectile. Say that slowly. That is a gun. The oldest one ever found was dug up in Heilongjiang, China, a small bronze hand cannon dated to around the year 1288. It weighs about as much as a newborn baby. You could hold it in your hands today, and it would still terrify you. So China invented the gun, which raises an uncomfortable question. Why does the whole world picture guns as a Western invention? The answer arrived on horseback. In the 1200s, the Mongols smashed through China and absorbed everything valuable. Engineers, gunpowder makers, the weapons themselves. And the Mongol Empire was a machine for moving things across the planet. Their armies and trade routes carried gunpowder west, through Central Asia, into the Islamic world, to the very edge of Europe. By 1267, an English monk named Roger Bacon was already writing about a mysterious powder that erupted with a flash of lightning and a crash of thunder. By 1327, a manuscript made for the English court contained Europe's first known picture of a gun, a strange vase-shaped cannon lying on a table, firing a giant metal arrow. And Europe did not just adopt the gun. Europe became obsessed with it. Not because Europeans were smarter, but because Europe was a continent permanently at war with itself. Dozens of rival kingdoms crammed together. Endless sieges, endless borders, every king desperate for any edge over his neighbor. In China, gunpowder was one tool of a giant unified empire. In Europe, it was survival. So European workshops entered an arms race that never stopped. Cannons grew bigger, barrels grew stronger, powder grew more violent. And in 1453, the world found out what all that competition had created. The city of Constantinople stood behind walls so massive they had protected it for 1,000 years. 22 sieges had broken against those stones. Then a cannon maker named Orban built the Ottoman Sultan a monster, a bronze cannon roughly 8 meters long, firing stone balls heavier than a horse. For weeks, it hammered the ancient walls. And the walls cracked, the city fell. And every ruler on Earth learned the same lesson in the same year. Stone walls were finished, castles were finished, armored knights were finished. Gunpowder had just deleted the entire medieval world. And here is the irony history never forgets. China invented gunpowder. China invented the gun. But China was one giant unified empire. And for long stretches it faced no rival armed with equal weapons. So the pressure to keep improving slowly faded. In Europe, that pressure never stopped for a single day. Centuries later, European warships would sail into Chinese harbors carrying advanced cannons. Weapons descended directly from a Chinese invention. Now aimed back at the civilization that created them, the student had returned, and the teacher was not ready. But that is only half the story. Because the gun itself was still a terrible machine. Picture using one of these early guns. You pour loose powder down the barrel. You push a ball in after it. You sprinkle more powder near a tiny hole. Then you hold a burning rope against it and pray. One shot could take a full minute to prepare. Rain could kill your weapon instantly. Wind could blow your powder away. Sometimes the gun simply exploded in your hands. A good archer could shoot 10 arrows while you loaded once. So why did guns win anyway? Because of one brutal fact. Training an archer took years. Training a gunner took days. Any farmer could become deadly in a week. Kings could now build armies out of ordinary people. Skill stopped mattering. Numbers started mattering. And then, invention by invention, every weakness of the gun got solved. Gunpowder itself was upgraded. Makers learned to press it into hard grains so it survived travel and burned with far more violence. The matchlock added a trigger, so soldiers could aim while firing. The flintlock used a spark from stone, so no burning rope was needed. Then, in 1807, a Scottish priest named Alexander Forsyth got annoyed while duck hunting. His ducks kept seeing the flash of his gun and diving before the shot arrived. So he invented a chemical cap that fired the instant it was struck. No flash, no delay, no mercy for the ducks. That one grumpy hunter gave guns instant ignition in any weather. Soon after, the bullet, the powder, and the spark were sealed into a single brass object, the cartridge. In 1836, an American named Samuel Colt patented a pistol with a revolving cylinder. 6 shots without reloading. Factories began stamping out identical guns by the thousands. The 1,000-year-old alchemy accident was now a machine. Fast, cheap, everywhere. So step back and look at what actually happened here. A man in a dark room was trying to cure death. His experiment escaped the workshop. It jumped from medicine to fireworks to fire lances to cannons to rifles. It tore down castle walls. It ended the age of knights and sword-wielding heroes. It decided which empires rose and which ones vanished. Look at any map of the world today. Almost every border you see was drawn, defended, or destroyed by gunpowder. The country you live in, the language you speak, the history you were taught in school, all of it was shaped by the fire medicine. You are living inside the blast radius of a mistake made 1100 years ago. And here is the final twist. The part that is really about you. Humans never decided to invent the gun. No council of elders sat down and voted for it. No genius drew it up from nothing. It was an accident, a side effect, a failed medicine that slipped out of the lab and rewrote the planet, which reveals something uncomfortable about our species. Our biggest inventions do not come from our intentions. They come from our curiosity, and curiosity never asks what happens next. Somewhere right now, in some quiet lab, someone is mixing something new, chasing a cure, chasing a dream, certain they are building a better world. Just like a tired alchemist 11 centuries ago hunched over 3 harmless ingredients. He wanted to give humanity eternal life. We never even learned his name. We only inherited his fire.